Father, Lord, we praise you and thank you for such a beautiful Sabbath day that you bless us with, Lord. For giving us the ability and strength to get out of our beds this morning and join one another in worshiping you. Allow us to keep reverence in our heart, Lord, as we are in your house, Lord, and always abide amongst us. And during these busy days that we have, these next 6 days that we're going to experience after the Sabbath, Lord, please abide with us always and remind us to be still and know that you are God. Be with each and every one of us as we leave this church and help us to spread your love towards one another and to the people who don't know you as well, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So this morning for personal growth, I kind of wanted to take the name of personal growth literal and talk about how I grew personally this week, or at least what I tried to focus myself on in regards to my relationship with Jesus. So this week was a week that I dreaded for a long time, a couple of months actually. I did not want this week to come. And ever since the 16th of May, I've actually been dreading this week, and that's because this week I started school again. Summer's over, and here comes a new semester. So the start of my fall semester as a junior at UNM, I'm taking some pretty difficult classes. I don't have any more of those cushion classes where it's like English or Spanish or those easy classes that you can just get along without really giving much focus to boost your GPA. But now I'm kind of getting into classes that are more focused in my degree, being mechanical engineering. So I'm taking classes like dynamics and ordinary differential equations and mechanics of materials and things that like aren't just basic concepts that you can kind of just push to the back burner. You have to be involved pretty regularly in these classes. And this first week, I've already felt a taste of it. First day of school, come Monday, I already had a 13-page assignment due in a week. So there's no easing into it. Everything starts right away. Day one is day one. No time to mess around. So that's another reason why I've been dreading this, because I knew that it was just going to be go, go, go. These next 16 weeks of school aren't going to be easy, and I'm going to have assignments due, exams that I got to study for, biweekly quizzes that I have to prepare for, and it all follows me home. Like during the summer I was working, and it's nice because once I leave work, I don't have to think about work again until the next morning. But now that I'm in school, I go there 8 in the morning, and I'll be there for however long my classes are, given tutoring and office hours and whatever it may be. Once I leave school, that doesn't mean school stops. It still follows me home. And I have to keep my head in the books and make sure that I really crack down on what I need to know, because these classes are essential for my degree. So even though I've been dreading these courses and it's kind of like go, go, go now for the next 16 weeks, I felt really anxious this week, knowing that these classes were important, that they're not going to be the easiest classes that I've ever taken, and I've just been kind of focused and centralized on how I'm going to do in these classes, that I really want to keep good grades. I want to shoot for straight A's, but sometimes the courses get to you and straight A's isn't always achievable, but I always want to shoot for as high as I can regarding my school. So I felt anxious this week, just starting it all. And I knew that it was only going to get more difficult the deeper we go into the chapters and so on and so forth. So my mind's been racing, and I feel like I've just been so overwhelmed with school this week. And talking about personal growth and how I grew, or what I tried to focus on this week, for me it came from Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. And if you'd like to turn there with me. It's Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. I shared this verse last week whenever we closed our service with prayer. But again, that was Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. If I can get an amen when you're there, please. One more time, that's Psalms chapter 46, verse 10. I still hear some pages ruffling. All right. So Psalms chapter 46, verse 10, it says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth." So those first two words is really what I tried to focus my week on in being still. I can be still for a moment, just, okay, I was still, and then keep going, keep going. But to know when to be still, how to be still, what to do when I'm still, there's much more complexity in those two words than just stopping for a moment. In these busy weeks, especially starting school, it's been go, 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 but instead of always trying to put my next foot forward, I should remember maybe I should be still and make sure that this step that I'm about to take is one that God wants me to take. So being still is something that I really, really tried to focus on this week in the beginning of this semester, just being still. And then the second part of that where it says, and know that I am God. I see these challenges whenever it comes to school with assignments and exams and quizzes and whatever it may be. I see them as, roadblocks or trials or difficulties in my life. But I should remind myself who is God, who He is, what He is to me personally, what He can do for me, and what promises He's giving me. And reminding myself of those promises that Jesus gives me on a day-to-day basis makes it a little bit easier to go through those struggles and tasks and roadblocks. Knowing that Jesus will never desert me or never leave me, that's comforting to know that the God of the universe who created everything, even the things that I'm studying, He's put so much detail and thought into it that we can get down to microscopic levels of the atoms or whatever it might be that I'm studying. God has given it so much attention. Everything that I'm studying is created by God. And the reason why I'm studying it is because we're trying to understand our world a little bit better. Whether it be during complex equations or whatever it may be, we're just trying to understand the complexity of God's creation. And I think that that's beautiful as well. And just knowing how much detail He put in this world because of His love for me. So knowing that verse, be still and know that I am God. That's really what I tried to centralize my week over this week. Just taking a break from my go, 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 trying to catch up and trying to stay ahead and not trying to fall behind in my assignments. I have to remind myself that God is in control, that He is God. And who am I to try to take on my own burdens? I don't want to be leading my own path. I want God to be leading my path for me. So knowing that He is God is a big comfort to me, because whenever I'm facing these trials and hard times in my life, I know that God has overcome this world. So there's really no reason for me to stress. I can take His yoke upon me, and it's going to be light and easy. And I know that He's going to be there guiding me every step of the way. So in this idea of being still, I also believe that God really emphasizes us to be still. I mean, He made an entire commandment about it, to be still, to take a break from your go, go, go kind of life, to separate 24 hours out of your week, to be still and know that He is God. And I want to flip to Mark chapter 2. Mark chapter 2. If you'd like to go there with me, Mark chapter 2, verse 27. Again, that's Mark chapter 2, verse 27. Mark chapter 2, verse 27, it says, "And He said unto them, For the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath." So in God creating the fourth commandment of remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, He's telling us that this isn't just a command, but it's a blessing for you. There's a reason why I ask you to separate 24 hours out of the week, and it's not just because I want to command you to do certain things in your life and just so that way I can exercise my power over your lives. But He's saying, I'm welcoming you to this blessing of taking a break from the 6 days of work. He wants us to take a break and to be still and to realize that He is God. And I will admit that growing up in Adventist, I didn't always see the Sabbath as a blessing because, I was a kid. And whenever I didn't understand the true meaning of what Sabbath was, I just saw Sabbath as, I couldn't go outside and play and couldn't watch cartoons. And I just didn't understand really what the blessing of Sabbath was. But now that I'm a little older and I have more responsibilities than I was when I was little, I understand the blessing of the Sabbath. Because come Friday evenings and those 6 days a week where I'm always thinking about assignments and homework and quizzes and exams, once the sun sets on Sabbath, then it's like I'm I'm commanded to not do those things. And it's a huge blessing to just take a deep breath and to recuperate from the stressful week. And I also want to talk about how we should rest on the Sabbath. I think that if we wait all the way up until Friday evening to start preparing for the Sabbath, then Satan is so clever that he's going to try to take those 6 days of work and try to stretch them as long as he can so that way it overflows into the Sabbath. But I've heard from someone very wise that said preparation for the Sabbath shouldn't just start on Friday. It should start all the way back on Sunday. And we should be preparing our hearts for the next upcoming Sabbath, and we should be preparing how we welcome the Sabbath given our worldly workload. So, for example, in my case, if I have 15 assignments due on Friday and an exam, then I shouldn't wait until Friday to start preparing for those things. I should start Sunday and prepare myself of those things that I'm going to be facing a couple days in time. So that way, by the time Sabbath comes, I'm not so scrambled and stressed and so discombobulated that I can't even properly welcome the Sabbath. But God wants us to use those 6 days to prepare for that one day. In our hearts, in our daily walks with God and other people, I believe that the importance of being still is very high in God's commands for us. He commands us to be still and to know that He is God. Satan's going to try to keep us busy 7 days a week, especially because God commands us to rest on the one day. He's going to do whatever it takes to get us working or busy or centralized on something else on this day whenever we have 6 days to do all of that work. So this week, whenever I was pretty anxious about starting a new semester and thinking about the difficulty of my classes, perhaps, or whatever it may come in these next 16 weeks, I had to remind myself to be still and to remind myself again who is in control, who has overcome this world, who has the victory. And in my eyes, that's Jesus. And I know that He's going to be with me every step of the way. So going on to next week, I'm going to try to remind myself of that as well, to be still and know that He is God. And if you guys would like to do that as well, I welcome you to do that. But especially during these couple hours, these 24 hours of the Sabbath, I believe that we should especially be reminding ourselves that He is God. So with that, we're going to go ahead and break for our classes.
Good morning. Happy Sabbath. Very happy to be here today.